Okay, if you've been watching the channel for a while, then you know that I rebedded my horn cleats last season. And of course, where I am, there's a lot of wind, the waves build up and whatever while the boat's sitting in the slip. And so the horn cleats take a ton of abuse. And again, since that strain on them is in the horizontal, they tend to break loose. And so I just wanted to provide an update on the project that I did. So what I did was I added some larger backing plates. The original installation from the factory by Precision was just some small washers. And so you had, basically a 1/4 inch of fiberglass deck and then some about 1-inch washers. And, the horn cleats were basically bolted on. And so what happened was, because of the horizontal stress, those washers started bending. And so the more they bent, the sealant that sealed it to the deck, the 3M5200, that sealant broke. And then the horn cleats started moving side to side. And so the longer I let that stay like that, the worse it would get. And my fear was that the holes in the deck and the fiberglass would get enlarged from, all that movement. And so what I did is I created backing plates, and I created those backing plates out of HDPE. And this is the actual sheet that I still have as a scrap. But it's a 1/2 inch sheet of HDPE plastic. So this is, also called marine board. So it's the same type material. And it's very rigid, it's very strong. Of course, it does not rot. And, it does not compress very well. And so when it's put under a lot of compression, by tightening those bolts down really good, it's not going to move. The only disadvantage with this material is that adhesives don't adhere to it very well. It's it has a very slick surface, and so adhesives don't stick to it. And so what I did to help overcome that issue is, one, I sanded the surface. So when you get it from the factory, it's very slick, but you can sand it just like wood. And so I sanded it a little bit to kind of rough it up to help give more mechanical adhesion for the epoxy that I used. And then also, I put a lot of extra, excess epoxy when I mounted it. And so as you compress it to the deck, that excess epoxy squeezes out all around the perimeter of the small block there I created. And so the idea there is that that bead of epoxy on all sides where it meets the underside of the deck creates kind of like a cradle, because that epoxy, of course, dries very, very rigid. It's a very durable, tough material. And so having that little bead around the perimeter of the block helps it to seat and prevents it from moving side to side. And then, the additional thickness. So of course I had to upgrade the bolts in the horn cleat. So I used a longer bolt, and the idea is that that additional length of the bolt and of the mounting will prevent that side-to-side movement. Okay, so after a year, let's see how it's doing. So this is the primary side, the port side, when the boat is in the slip that it's tied. And you can see here where the dock line rubs against the rub rail. But the horn cleat itself is solid. It hasn't moved. All the sealant is still in place. It looks great. So definitely a good upgrade. Adding that backing plate has helped stiffen this up and make it a little bit stronger.